Officer Jack Harlan's spit flecked the boarding pass as he roared, "You think you can waltz through my checkpoint with a fake ID, boy?" The vein along his temple throbbed like a leave wire, and the hand thrusting the crumpled paper toward him trembled just enough to betray fear. Behind him, silver-haired travelers froze mid-sip of overpriced coffee, eyes wide, phones half-raised. Sunlight poured through the terminal's glass wall, turning the scene into a pressure cooker of fluorescent tension. If you've ever missed a flight because one gate agent decided your fate, smash that like button. Share this with every traveler you know, and if you love your mom and dad, hit subscribe right now. Show some love to the channel that brings you heart-pounding airport drama every week. Jack Harlan had 23 years on the force, 15 of them at O'Hare's Terminal 3, and he could smell a lie the way a bloodhound smells fear. The boarding pass in front of him read, Daniel J. Mercer. Flight 217 to Denver, seat 12A, but the photo was wrong, too smooth, too airbrushed, like a stock image slapped onto cheap laminate. The kid holding it couldn't be more than 22, hoodie half-zipped, eyes darting to the exit signs every 3 seconds. Jack's hand hovered over his holster, not because he expected violence, but because protocol said never let a suspect see your doubt. "Step out of line," Jack barked. The kid, Daniel, if that was even his name, took one shuffle backward, sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. A grandmother in a lavender cardigan clutched her purse tighter. A businessman in a wrinkled suit whispered into his phone, "Yeah, some altercation at security, hold on." Jack snatched the boarding pass, held it to the light. The hologram flickered wrong like a DVD skipping frames. Fake. Had to be. Name, Jack demanded. "Daniel Mercer," the kid muttered, voice cracking on the second syllable. Date of birth, March 14th, 2001. Jack's eyes narrowed. The kid knew the answer too fast, like he'd rehearsed it in a mirror. Jack flipped open his tablet, typed the name into the TSA database. No hits, not even a parking ticket. Clean slate, which in Jack's world meant either saint or professional. He leaned closer, close enough to smell the kid's cheap cologne and the sharper tang of panic, sweat. "You got a real ID, Daniel. Driver's license. Passport. Something that isn't printed on a home printer." The kid's hand dipped into his backpack, slow, deliberate. Jack's fingers tightened on his holster. The terminal noise announcements, rolling suitcases, crying toddlers, faded to a dull roar in Jack's ears. The kid pulled out a slim black wallet, flipped it open. Illinois driver's license, same photo, same name, same DOB. Jack took it, ran the barcode under the scanner. Beep, valid, expiration 2027. Address in Naperville, zip code 60564. Jack's got twisted. Something was still off. "Empty the bag," Jack said. The kid hesitated. "Sir, my flight boards in 20 minutes. Empty it or I cuff you, and we do it in holding." Shoulders slumping, the kid unzipped the backpack. Textbooks, calculus, organic chemistry, a MacBook with a cracked corner, noise-canceling headphones, a Ziploc of protein bars, and wedged between 2 folders, a manila envelope sealed with red wax. Jack's gloved hand closed around it. Heavy. The kid's eyes flicked to the envelope, then away, too fast. "What's this?" Jack asked. "School project," the kid said. "Confidential." Jack broke the seal. Inside, a stack of $100 bills, rubber banded, at least 20 grand, and beneath the cash a passport. Not American. Crimson cover, gold emblem. Jack flipped it open. Photo matched the kid, but the name read, Daniel Merziev. Country of issue, Russian Federation. Entry stamp, Chicago O'Hare 3 days ago. Jack's pulse hammered. The kid wasn't just traveling, he was running. Jack looked up. The kid, Daniel, was already moving, shoulder, checking a luggage cart, sprinting toward gate K-19. Jack gave chase, boots pounding, radio crackling. Suspect fleeing South Concourse, male, early 20s, gray hoodie. Travelers scattered like bowling pins. A barista dropped a tray of lats. Jack vaulted a stanchion, lungs burning. 20 yards ahead, Daniel skidded around a corner, vanishing behind a Hudson News. Jack rounded the corner and stopped, dead-end, family restroom, janitor closet, emergency exit, no Daniel. Jack slammed the restroom door open, empty stalls. He kicked the janitor closet, locked. The emergency exit's alarm hadn't tripped. Impossible. Jack's radio squawked, "AL units, suspect possibly armed. Consider dangerous." Jack's own voice came back, calmer than he felt. "Negative unarmed, but he's got cash and a foreign passport." Lockdown Concourse K. Back at the checkpoint, TSA supervisor Maria Delgado was already reviewing footage. Jack jogged up, sweat soaking his collar. On the monitor, Daniel's Sprint replayed in grainy black and white frame 4112. He ducked into the newsstand frame 400 3D empty aisle. Maria zoomed. Behind the magazine rack, a service door cracked open. Maintenance corridor, she said. Lids to the tarmac. Jack's stomach dropped. He's going for a plane. They ran. Through the corridor, past rolling tool chests and flickering fluorescents. The door at the end hung ajar, Chicago wind whipping in. Outside, the tarmac shimmered in heat. A United 737 idled at gate K-12, stairs down, fuel truck pulling away. Jack spotted Daniel halfway up the stairs, hoodie flapping, backpack bouncing. A ramp ground crew shouted, "Too late." Jack sprinted across the asphalt, badge glinting.
"TS, stop!"
The pilot leaned out the cockpit window, confused. Daniel reached the top step, turned. For the first time, Jack saw his face clearly, no longer scared, determined. The kid raised a hand, not in surrender but in signal. The plane's door began to close. Jack lunged, grabbed the railing. The stairs lurched upward. He hauled himself aboard as the door sealed. Inside, the cabin was empty. No passengers, no crew. Just rows of blue seats and the hum of engines spooling up. Daniel stood at the front, blocking the cockpit door. In his hand, a small black device, red button blinking. "Back off, officer," Daniel said, accent thick now. "Moscow, maybe St. Petersburg. This plane takes off in 60 seconds, with or without you." Jack's gun was out before he thought about it. "Drop it." "It's not a bomb," Daniel said. "It's a dead man switch. I let go. The cockpit locks forever. Pilot can't override. We crash into Lake Michigan, you die, I die. Everyone in this terminal remembers the day TSA let a Russian kid hijack a plane." Jack's finger hovered on the trigger. "Why?" Daniel's eyes softened. "Just for a second. Because my sister's on a watch list. FSB wants her for questioning. She's 12. If I don't get to Denver, they take her tonight." The plane rolled forward. Jack braced against a seat. Through the window, ground crew waved frantically, realizing something was wrong. Jack's radio crackled. "Officer Harlan, report. Aircraft 217 is moving without clearance." Jack muted it. "You could have asked for asylum. They don't grant asylum to kids with 20 grand in cash and a fake name." Daniel's thumb twitched on the button. "My father was GRU, defected in '09. They never forget." The plane turned onto the taxiway. Jack's mind raced. Protocol said shoot the threat, but the kid's eyes. Jack had seen that look before, in his own son's face the day Jack missed his high school graduation for a double shift. Duty versus blood. Jack lowered the gun. "Put it down," Jack said. "We'll get your sister out. I swear on my badge." Daniel laughed, bitter. "Your badge means nothing in Moscow." The plane accelerated. Jack lunged, tackling Daniel. They crashed into the galley, the device skittering across the floor. Jack pinned him, forearm on throat. "Where's the pilot?" "Locked in the cockpit. Autopilot engaged." Daniel gasped. "You can't stop it." Jack scrambled for the device. Red button still blinking. He smashed it under his boot. Nothing happened. The plane lifted, gears retracting. Chicago shrank below, a patchwork of lights and snow. In the cockpit, the real pilot, Captain Lisa Nungian, was bound with zip ties, gagged with a seatbelt. Jack cut her free. She took the controls, voice shaking. "Hijacker." "Subdued," Jack said. "But we've got bigger problems. Kid says FSB is after his family." Lisa banked west toward Denver. ATC's screaming they want us to land at ORD. "Can't." Kid's sister boards a connecting flight in 2 hours. "If we land, she's gone." Lisa's knuckles whitened on the yoke. "Your career, TSA. This is federal airspace violation." Jack looked back at Daniel, cuffed to a seat with beverage cart straps. The kid's bravado was gone, replaced by raw fear. Jack made the call. "Tell ATC we've got a medical emergency. Denver to Denver, I'll take the heat." They landed at DN amid a swarm of FBI SUVs. Agents stormed the plane, weapons drawn. Jack stepped out first, hands raised. "Officer Jack Harlan, Chicago TSA, suspect in custody. Request immediate witness protection for a minor. Anya Merciev, arriving Frontier Flight 447 from Seattle." The lead agent, a woman with a buzz cut and zero patience, stared. "You stole a plane." "Borrowed," Jack corrected, "and saved a kid." Anya Merciev was 12, all elbows and freckles, clutching a stuffed orca. When she saw Daniel, she ran, agents parting like water. The siblings hugged, sobbing in Russian. Jack watched, throat tight. His own daughter was 16, hadn't spoken to him in 3 months. Maybe this was penance. Back in Chicago, the fallout was biblical. Jack's badge was suspended pending investigation. The union lawyer said plead guilty to unauthorized aircraft operation, maybe keep the pension. Jack refused. At the disciplinary hearing, Captain Guyan testified, Officer Harlan prevented a potential international incident. The TSA director, a political appointee with a comb-over, wasn't moved. You endangered 150 passengers who weren't even on the manifest. Jack leaned forward. There were no passengers. It was a ferry flight, and I brought the plane back in one piece. The director sighed. You're a liability. Jack stood. Then fire me. But first, check the news. On every screen in the terminal, CNN looped footage. Russian defectors' children granted emergency asylum after daring airport rescue. The byline credited, anonymous TSA officer. Public opinion flipped overnight. Fayhero Harlan trended. Petitions flooded the governor's office. The director's phone rang off the hook. 3 days later, Jack's suspension was lifted. Promotion to supervisory transportation security officer, effective immediately. He pinned the new badge himself in the same Terminal 3 where it all began. Daniel and Anya settled in Aurora, Colorado. Jack visited once under the guise of follow-up. Anya showed him her new school project, a diorama of O'Hare, complete with a tiny officer yelling at a tiny hoodie kid. Jack laughed until his eyes watered. On his last night in Denver, Daniel handed him an envelope. Inside, $20,000, crisp hundreds. My father's emergency fund, Daniel said. He'd want you to have it. Jack pushed it back. Buy your sister a real orca. Shed aquarium membership. Family pass. Daniel's eyes glistened. You ever miss a flight? Officer Harlan, every day, Jack said. But some things are worth the delay. Back in Chicago, Jack worked the same checkpoint, same blue chairs, same yellow signs. Travelers still complained about shoe removal, but now they asked for selfies. Jack obliged, gruff as ever. One morning, a grandmother in a lavender cardigan approached. You're the hero, she said, pressing a homemade cookie into his hand. Oatmeal raisin. Jack ate it on break, crumbs on his uniform, watching the boarding pass scanner beep green, green, green. Until the day it beeped red again. This time the photo matched, but the name didn't. The man holding the pass was older, mid-40s, salt and pepper beard, eyes like winter steel. Jack's hand went to his holster out of habit. The man smiled, small and sad. Officer Harlan, he said, accent faint but unmistakable. We need to talk. About Flight 217, Jack's blood went cold. The man slid a new passport across the counter. Crimson cover, gold emblem. Inside, Jack's own face staring back, name Yakov Kharlamov, country of issue, Russian Federation. The man leaned in. Your real father sends regards. He's dying. Wants to meet his son before the FSB does. Jack's world tilted. The terminal noise faded again, replaced by the roar of jet engines and the echo of a question he'd never asked. Who am I, really? The boarding pass in the man's hand read, Flight 217 to Moscow, Seat 1A, departure 1 hour. Jack looked at the gate, then at the man, then at the badge on his chest. 23 years of service, 1 act of mercy, and now this. The scanner beeped again. Red. Jack unclipped his badge, set it on the counter. Tell him I'll be there, he said. But first, I've got a plane to catch. He walked through the checkpoint, shoes on, no pat down, no questions. Behind him the grandmother in lavender watched, cookie tin empty. The terminal lights flickered, just once, like a wink from fate. Somewhere over the Atlantic, Jack Harlan, or Yakov Kharlamov, or whoever he was now, closed his eyes. The engines hummed a lullaby he almost remembered. Below, Chicago's runway lights faded to stars. Ahead, Moscow waited, cold and unforgiving. But Jack wasn't running, not anymore. He was going home. Hey Patriots, drop a comment right now. Where in this great country are you watching from? Texas, Cali, the Heartland, or somewhere else? Let me know in the comments. And if this story had you on the edge of your seat, smash that subscribe button harder than a TSA pat down. More airport thrillers coming weekly.